With us now, we're speaking about STIs and STDs in present day, basically the reality of it. And we asked you a question of the day, which is, do young people fear pregnancy more than STIs, and is this shaping their approach to a safe sex? Now, on Facebook, we have a couple of your responses, but Isaac Makanda, wacha tu nisisome yo response yako, lakini I acknowledge umetuma. Let me read for Govan Onyango, who says, new generation, the Gen Z, it's obvious they prefer STIs rather than pregnancy because it comes with great responsibility, but STIs can be cured now and HIV can be maintained with ARVs, drug, and live longer and happy life, which I think is kind of what Doreen here mentioned. And we also have Beru Anderson saying, well, unfortunately, lost generation. Well, there's so many aspects to this, Doreen. And during the break, we were speaking about the way we cannot assume all teenagers are just, going through adolescent and hormonal phases. And we're like, anakuanga tu hivyo because hormones are raging and stuff like that. Yeah. I think that's a very normalized way of putting their issues into perspective. But you had mentioned something very important here that we need to look at, because these are young people growing up susceptible to very many things, and growing up in homes that we cannot all say are the same. Some of them may be facing rape, coercion in different forms. And you can give us those examples better, Doreen.
Well, in my journey of advocacy, I have met some really sad stories. And some of them, you listen to them and you're like, you don't understand how this child in a home where they're supposed to be protected are very exposed to so many things that are not exactly nice. There is during the times that I used to do like school outreaches and all that, and this lady reached out to me and told me that she had a girl in her school that she had treated her for syphilis 3 times. So she's okay when they're in school. It is when she goes back home that the problem occurs. So now in school, there were 3 other kids who had like different STIs. And the thing that we said before we went on break, that they sit so much on the infection that it ends up now having other side effects. Some people even start smelling. So the stigma started on, so-and-so smells, they don't have a shower and all that. And then now the teacher had to intervene and say, what is happening? Why is it that I treat you once, you go home, you come back, you have the same infection? What exactly is happening? And so she said she was in a relationship with her uncle. And the uncle was spoiling her with money and gifts and all those kind of things. So to her, this was a normal relationship. But to you as an adult, you look at it and you're like, no, this child is being coerced. And the uncle has an STI that is very active and obviously untreated because the infection keeps coming back. Yeah. But now, even the parents of this child do not know that this child is being abused by a trusted person in the family. Yeah. And the funny part is how much, when you look around, especially for sexual gender-based violence, most of the perpetrators are people who are in there, and they coerce these young kids. So when we think that adolescents are out there partying and living their best lives and exposing themselves to STIs and HIV, sometimes it's really not, they're really not going out there and doing anything. They're at home and they're getting these things from home to a bad extent that I think, was it last year or last year, but we were doing some stories in the coast counties, and we witnessed a very large amount of incest stories. So many that I was very angry at the adults, because these are children. These are children that you are supposed to protect, take care of. You are infecting them with diseases and then letting them just go. Nobody is doing any follow-up. The parent or the relative in this case is the primary caregiver. Like, it's not one person, it's so many children. And you look at it to a point, I think we had a Twitter space where a child officer said a girl was sexually abused by her father. because the father found out he was HIV positive. There's this myth that says that if you have sex with a person with a virgin, you will get healed. So the mother decided that the nearest virgin is our child.
The mother herself?
Yes, the mother herself decided that.
The mother agreed
yes,
to her
she
daughter
agreed
being
to
used by her husband,
yes.
the father of this girl?
Mm-hmm. And the girl got infected with HIV. And now the case was in court. Do we
have laws arresting such?
The case was in court. I mean, there are laws. It's just that sometimes they don't go all the way like we would expect them to. So in as much as we look at the realities of STIs, we have to look at a very different lenses, because the risk and the exposure comes from very different people. It can be this adolescent is in a relationship with a very grown adult who is making them feel like this is a normal relationship, or they are experimenting with their fellow young kids, because they are also, and I speak now this very practically from the point of HIV, where the kids who are born with HIV, they have not been told that they're HIV positive. They're taking the medication, but sometimes for adolescents, there's a struggle of viral suppression. And they found themselves a girlfriend or a boyfriend. And now here they are, they don't know they have HIV, they are already experimenting on sex, and then an infection happens. So now you look, they even tell you, but I don't have HIV. And now you don't know how to, because now that means you must disclose to them, and they have to go on to disclose to the other person that they are in a relationship with. And now the parent comes back in. Again, the elephant in the room I told you yesterday comes back to the parent.
You know, I think we need to elaborate how some taboos and cultures still play a big role in allowing things which we would assume that someone would know and understand as backward, or you know, not like super archaic, still very present in society. See, like what you just said about, you know, the mother and father agreeing that, hey, for you to get cleansed of this infection, which is HIV, go, you know, defile your daughter, who's a virgin, and then, you know, you know, so how does culture play a big part in this also? Culture
plays a very huge role. In fact, culture is part of the reason why we still have HIV-related stigma, and basically just the conversation around sexual reproductive health has so much stigma because of culture. Because you can't have certain conversations at home. You can't, there are things that people still believe in. For example, that of being cured of HIV by having sex with a virgin. There are people who still believe in that. But what that does is increase new HIV infections. So the thing is, we have to destroy some of the things, or no, destroy is a huge word, unlearn. And still I feel like unlearn is a soft word. So I don't know.
I think we can go back to destroy.
Yeah, destroy, because some of these taboos and cultures that people believe in are actually ruining the children's lives. Because putting yourself in that situation, when I tell you that I have not even told you half the stories I experienced, they were bad. They were very bad. And I looked at the adults in the room and I was like, I don't understand what form of culture this is.
And what is the argument that these adults have, you know, when you explain to them that this is, okay, this is what you believe in, but the reality is this?
But you see, let me tell you something. When people believe in something, they believe that it is right. So when they believe that it is right, they believe that they can do whatever they want, because at the end of the day, that is how their culture has taught them. That is what has been instilled into their system. So to them, they don't see it as a big deal. So by the time this girl was, because how this case came to court was the child started refusing to go home. So the teacher found out. And then the teacher was like, what is happening? Then she's like, my father is doing this. So now they went back to the family. And then the mother was like, yeah, you see, we were told if the father had sex with the virgin, then, and obviously our nearest virgin was the daughter. So I was like, I don't understand, because these are two parents. And sometimes I look at it and I'm like, we also kind of hold on to some backward, very, very backward information in a world where we have a lot of information going on. We hold on to so much bad things that we now end up being like, nah, yeah, we can do with this, and then we let all the bad things slide.
So Doreen, we have the irony of a lot of information at, at our fingertips, and then we also have the irony, the other part, which is lack of it and believing what we believe, and we don't seem to find a way of balancing this, because culture is not entirely bad, but it's the things that we choose to pick, because this is, you know, you're picking something, you know, it's present day, like in Yapana, hit this idea. So what's the most practical way and realistic way of dealing with it?
I think the most realistic way of dealing with it is we need to put these conversations in people's faces. You remember when HIV first came to Kenya, there were so many billboards and so much information, and conversations were being had that everybody knew what HIV and AIDS is. People knew how it is transmitted. People knew that there is no treatment, so people are dying. So we need to bring back more conversations. Talk and talk again, because the only way we can undo a wrong is by ensuring that we are giving, yes, there is information out there, but it's not reaching everyone. So if information today did not reach everybody, then we do it again next week and the week after that, until everybody normalizes these conversations, until we get rid of the fear and the shame, because the fear and the shame kind of hold us back, that if I say I have HIV, people are going to judge me. And then now, if people are going to judge you, then you kind of decide to keep quiet. You find out you have an STI, and you just decide, no, I am not going to tell anyone. So you keep it, and it keeps progressing, while the whole time what is holding you back is the fear and the shame around it. So we need to really, really normalize the conversations around sexual reproductive health and HIV. And we also now need to, while we are normalizing this conversation, direct people to the right resources and the right platforms where they can get services as well.
You know, Doreen, there's an aspect of apathy, because you'll find some people even not believing that even with that information circulated and sensitization that there'll be any change, because they already have too much of it, and so far they've not experienced any good thing coming out of, you know. So how do you handle that when people are like that?
Let me tell you something, because I have spoken about HIV daily, I think, for the last 8 years. And still every day there is something new. So I know we usually look at it from a point of view that, yeah, people have been speaking about this. We are tired. We know about HIV. No, you don't get tired, because if we get tired, then it means that we end up with a situation that we are in now, that has been brewing for a very long time. But we just talked and then stopped, and then talked and then stopped. So if you stop, it means you are like, yeah, it's reduced, we're good. So it's time we just understand that we can have this conversation in the sitting room or at the dinner table, and everything is just going to be normal. It's time we understand that even inside a church, we can have a conversation about HIV prevention that involves not just abstinence, but every other thing that comes with HIV prevention. Because we want to have safe conversations, and safe conversations are not going to help us. It's, in fact, the apathy you're speaking about is because we are trying to be very safe. We'll tell you, abstain. Abstain, because abstinence is what works. But then you realize that there are other HIV prevention methods. There are other ways you can prevent HIV. Why are you not speaking about those other ways? Because I've been invited to a youth church, and I was told, stick to abstinence. So when we got out of the church and now I'm interacting with them, they're like, why did you not tell us about PrEP and PEP? And I'm like, because I was told to tell you guys to abstain. So you see, the safer we are doing a disservice to the young people. They're not getting what we want them to actually get.
Okay.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, it is important to be as transparent, because you're dealing with people who are informed.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So how would you want to couple it up as we wind the conversation down?
At the end of the day, we must be transparent. We have to, when you asked me earlier, what is the reality? I told you it's a gray area. we have to remove the color gray, put it black and white.
Right.
Know your HIV status, know the status of your partner, talk to your partner about STIs, talk to your parents about this. I think I remember when growing up, there's a, one of the companies, I don't know whether it was Always or something, but they had like a book for menstrual health. It was called About You. And it was given to so many of us growing up around. So people had the information about menstrual health. You could just walk with a small book everywhere and you're like, yeah, okay, this is what happens. So we need that kind of simplified information that even when an adult is not stepping in, this child is there and they're like, okay, black and white. This is in the information I need. This is who I go to. This is who I can trust. Because we don't have enough trusted sources and we don't have enough people who are putting these conversations to our face. So every other time, trust me, somebody will come to my DM and tell me, please don't share this, hide my ID. And I'm like, I don't even know you. So who am I going to share it with? But they're like, because I'm afraid my family, my friends are going to find out. So it's time, as we're putting the information out there, we clear the gray area, put it black and white. This is the conversation, these are the results, these are the consequences that face it, and
okay.
Yeah.
Doreen, thank you so much for coming on here and us having this conversation on a Tuesday morning. Like I said, for some, it may be a bit too much, but I think it's too real, or the reality on the ground is so, serious that we have to definitely have this conversation. Thank you so much for watching Morning Vibe. My name is Remmy Majala. We'll be having another conversation which is quite, eye-opening tomorrow on our relationship segment, Heart to Heart. So see you then and have a great day. Yeah.
The biggest reggae and rhythm show ever on Kenyan television. You have a ganja man and you wanna forget. Tell him nothing about Juggle with the reggae boy.